Dan Orlovsky, the great analyst for the mothership. NFL Live continues daily throughout the entire offseason at 4 Eastern on ESPN. Catch Dan with Adam Schefter, Marcus Spears, Mina Kimes, Laura Rutledge, 4 p.m. Eastern daily on ESPN. Dan, thanks for joining us. Did the Cowboys have a great day yesterday?
The Cowboys did not. Dak Prescott did. Dak Prescott's family did. But this was a big-time swing and miss for the Cowboys. I think that they took a calculated risk. You know, they tried to be patient and didn't want to do something like the Rams or the Eagles did. But, man, that is a ton of money to give Dak Prescott.
What should the expectation level be for Cowboy fans this year?
Oh, this year at least you're talking second round of the playoffs, sniffing your NFC championship game. You know, like this is what my comment is with this. And it's the old saying, too much is given, much is expected. This is why I was very cautious of giving Dak Prescott a ton of money or second most quarterback money. It's going to impact your football team. And we can't now sit here and say, well, he's really good, but the expectations stay the same. The expectations have to be elevated, not only individually. Hey, when our left tackle's out, we still have to win the game on the road against the New York Jets because they stink. Or when we don't have Amari Cooper, we still got to play good at the position because you're supposed to be a difference maker when it comes to the finances. It's a bad division. I still have to wait to see what happens in Washington at the quarterback spot. If they got a quarterback that I thought was a good player, a Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think that I would favor them to win the division because I think Dallas still has issues defensively, offensive line wise, and overpaid at tailback.
Other than that.
And good luck trying to fix those over the next 4 years.
Well, that's my point with all of this is I don't like Zeke's contract. The offensive line is not what it once was, and guys got paid up there. The defense is one of the most overrated units in football right now. I'm not sure about Mike McCarthy. I mean, and Jerry's not, Jerry's 79 years of age, Dan. Like there's no rebuild. He thinks he reloads here, but I'm with you. People might put the Giants ahead of the Cowboys going into the next season.
I would but here's my thing. I need to know where Saquon's health is. I said this 5 minutes ago. If you gave me Ryan Fitzpatrick with Washington and you gave me an offensive lineman that was a quality offensive lineman there and a receiver outside of McLaurin, I'll take Washington. If you told me that Saquon Barkley was completely healthy, that Leonard Williams is going to get franchise tagged in New York, and you got a receiver to replace Golden Tate, I'd take New York over them because I think that they're a better run football organization. I believe in Martin Mayhew in Washington. I think that they're better coached football teams, and they're a healthier team 1-53. The roster doesn't have the stars potentially, but it's healthier. Dan, last year with Dak healthy, they were 2-3.
Yeah.
They were 2-3. And in the first half of those games, Dak threw for 4 touchdowns and had 4 turnovers. Then everything hit the fan. But it wasn't like they were playing awesome football when he was healthy. They were just so down so much that the stats got padded. He threw for 1,000 yards last year, down for 2 when they were down by more than 2 scores. So I get it. It's a day of celebration for Dak Prescott, but don't kid yourselves thinking that this is the difference between mediocrity of 20 years and now being a Super Bowl legit contender.
The other thing that hasn't been factored in, I don't think nationally by the media, is Dak is coming off a broken ankle. He didn't lose anything at the bargaining table, Dan. If you came off knee surgery or you came off a broken ankle, I'd feel more confident you coming off knee surgery than a broken ankle. I don't know if you ever had a broken ankle, but at that position, and I do ask him to run a little bit here, it doesn't feel like that's being played up enough.
Yeah, I mean, I broke my ankle the last game of my 2011 year on the road against Jacksonville, and it lingered for the rest of my career. And it wasn't as severe as Daks. Now, he's a significantly better athlete, all that stuff, and player-wise. I mean, we have to realize, though, too, no off season last year, and people can tell me it didn't hurt. Go watch the games. They were very average to below average offensively in the first half. Then it became a complete throw it everywhere against prevent defense. No offseason last year. This year, no offseason again. and you're gonna have to do it in the midst of rehab. Okay, you're gonna have pieces on your football team because there's still $3 million over the cap. So who's going to take the hit? Someone is going to have to get moved or take a hit or something like that. You're going to have to develop some of your young players. And so the fact that you're going into a second straight year without an offseason with an injury, you don't know what he's going to look like in a game to get him in the preseason. And you're probably going to be hesitant to play him a ton.
We're talking to Dan Orlovsky, the ESPN NFL analyst. A couple other things here. I think you tweeted the silence is deafening with Russell Wilson. Maybe I'm paraphrasing here. What do you think is happening, or what do you expect to happen?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Carson Wentz situation in Philadelphia like that. Fired coach, new head coach, nothing getting said. Russell hasn't said anything. It's the easiest time ever to say something, right? And he's only throwing gasoline on the fire. I think there's a lot of layers to this, Dan. I think it starts with Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle right now. I think Russell Wilson has a vision 15 plus years from now to be the Magic Johnson of the NFL, the first guy to go from player to like big time kind of brand business type of guy. I think he realizes that's not going to happen in Seattle for him. I believe that he wants to go to a bigger market. 9 years, really good football, never gotten an MVP vote. Okay. Really never really thoroughly been into the conversation up until this season. I think he's tired of playing for a defensive minded head coach. I think he wants to be the focal point of a football team, both, literally and schematically, so to speak. And I think that there's a little bit of a heat check. I say this all the time. Quarterbacks have egos, and it's why they become who they are. But I think he's going, I think I'm great, and I think I'm powerful. And he's right. Let me find out if Seattle sees it the same way. Let's find out if Seattle views me same way I view me. And I think Seattle's starting to warm to the idea, you know what, Russ? We're not going to play your game. We're not going to let you be bigger than us. That's why they sent out those letters and he's not on it. Come on. I think Pete Carroll's going, nope, I'm not going to let you play that way.
Yeah, the letter they sent out to season ticket holders talked about DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and they somehow left out a future Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson.
Exactly.
Yeah. No message being sent there. I think it comes down to ego. I think it's Pete Carroll versus Russell Wilson. And, last man standing, and it's going to be Pete Carroll. But if one, now the Cowboys are off the list, I wonder if Russ expands the list a little bit, Dan, because I can't see the Bears offering anything that Seattle's going to go, oh, okay. Maybe the Raiders, I get Derek Carr and something. The Saints, I don't see that happening. If I'm Russ, I really want out. I think I got to expand my my wish list here.
Yeah, you'd have to. It would be silly not to include New York and Miami, right? If you really want it out, because they, those are two teams that have multiple first-round picks in this year and next year's draft, with the Jets included in that. So you obviously want to that. I think Seattle has to ask themselves two major questions. Do we believe that we can win this way, a Super Bowl? Because they've got multiple experiences. They did it and won the Super Bowl when Russell was cheap, and then they paid him, and they haven't been able to replicate that. So they might sit back and be like, you know what, we tried it this way. It did not work. We actually want to go back to doing it in a financially flexible way. And the second thing would be this. How do they replace him? Because you can't just go, well, we'll trade you. You've got to find either the player or the capital to go replace the quarterback position, whether it's a rookie or something like that. I only would say this caveat with the Chicago one. His brother lives in Chicago and his brother works in Chicago, and they're desperate. We as human beings make stupid decisions when we're desperate. And you could take Chicago and go, listen, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, if you don't get Russell, you're fired. You're more than likely fired for next year. Yeah. So give us your next 3 ones. And I think that's something that Seattle would have to find worthy for consideration.
Why is it that we love the unknown at the quarterbacking position? That we did this with Deshaun Watson, where teams talk themselves out of Deshaun Watson because they go, we've seen everything from him. We like the unknown, like Mitchell Trubisky or Daniel Jones. And it feels like we're doing that with Zach Wilson, he had to beat out somebody to start this past season, whereas Justin Fields has been there in front of us. and it feels like we might be treating him the way we did Deshaun Watson. Explain this logic to me when it comes to quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, two things. When you go to the grocery store, there's a reason why the candy bars are at the checkout aisle and they got shiny wrappers because it catches our vision. That's a legit thing, and I feel like we sometimes do that with quarterbacks. Shiny object. I got to get it. I got to get it. I got to get it. It looks cool. And we've kind of fallen into that trap in the NFL. While we've seen the infusion of athleticism at that quarterback spot come into the NFL, we still scout the quarterback position backwards. We look at defensive ends, wide receivers, offensive linemen, linebackers, physically first, then mentally, because that's what's necessary. There's a certain requisite size, speed, shape to play those positions. That's secondary for the quarterback spot. The physical attributes for the quarterback will always be secondary. You have to think fast. You have to play fast. You have to have remarkable leadership. You have to have incredible study habits. You have to have great vision. You have to have the intellect to handle all that information and then be physically good. But just because you're physically good, if you're mentally poor, it's going to catch up to you. And I think that Zach Wilson's that guy that you see like physically so impressive. We've got to figure out where he is intellectually. And I think that people are looking at Justin Fields and going, well, your receiver was open a lot that Ryan Day designed for you. And I'm like, so what? Like, that's the job of the coach to get people open. And then the job of the quarterback is throw it to them. I've got multiple examples of Justin Fields going from the second to the third, pick or read when it comes to that stuff. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes has opened our eyes to a different type of quarterback that we want, that we crave, that we think we can get. Zach Wilson looks a lot like him.
Always great to talk to you. Thank you, Dan. I always learn something. You can watch more of Dan in the morning with Greeny on Get Up and also ESPN NFL Live. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate your time.
Bud. Be safe. Thank you.